Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know this rush hour of September 25, Wednesday. I'm Riza Diaz. We start off today's rush with the concluded investigations in the death of Cadet 4th Class Darwin Dormitorio. Now, this led to the sanctioning of at least 11 cadets and PMA officers and the resignation of the Academy's superintendent. Patricia Mangune has the report.
6 days after the death of Cadet 4th Class Darwin Dormitorio, the Philippine Military Academy concluded its administrative investigation. In a press conference in Baguio City, the PMA listed all accountable for Dormitorio's death. 4 upperclassmen are due to be dismissed from the academy for direct participation, encouraging maltreatment, and command responsibility. 2 will be suspended for 1 year, while 1 was penalized with demerits, punishment, and 180 days of confinement at the academy. Relieved from their posts are 4 officers from the tactics group and the PMA hospital. This includes the attending physician of Dormitorio. The PMA said they do not condone any form of maltreatment.
We are not aware of any initiation rights inside PMA. There's no such thing. As far as we're concerned, there are no initiation rights. But stipulated in the CCAPR, Cadet for Armed Forces Defense Regulation Series of 2013, there are specific provisions there that defines maltreatment as a violation.
It was wrong for a cadet to die in the hands of fellow cadets. Maltreatment is wrong in PMA.
PMA Superintendent Lieutenant General Ronnie Evangelista and the Commandant of Cadets, Brigadier General Bartolome Vicente Bacaro, meanwhile have relinquished their posts.
I feel, being the one responsible as the head of the superintendent, that I think this is now the right time that I have to step down.
The AFP Board of Generals will decide on their replacements. Malacanang commended Evangelista's decision. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said just showed his delicadeza.
Immediately nag-resign siya, including the deputy, I understand. And this is the right step to maintain the integrity of the Philippine Military Academy.
Panelo assured Dormitorio's family of justice.
We will prosecute those who are behind this murderous, I will classify this murderous, because hazing is intentional, inflicting physical injuries on the victim.
A 3rd cadet has been hospitalized, raising to 3 the number of plebs who sustained similar internal injuries.
They are classmates. They came from different companies. At pero ang pagkakapare-pareho nila ay dun sa aspeto na idinadaing nila, pare-pareho ay ang kanilang sikmura o pain in the abdomen.
The PMA is conducting a separate investigation to determine if these cases are related to dormitorios. For News 5, Patricia Mangune, we are One News.
The remains of Cadet 4th Class Darwin Dormitorio will be laid to rest in a few hours, but until now, his family questions why they were not informed of Darwin's condition beforehand. Jeba Vansenia has the report.
It is the final night of PMA 4th Class Cadet Darwin Dormitorio's wake in Cagayan de Oro, but the Dormitorio family is still asking why they weren't informed of Darwin's real condition.
Meron kang injuries sa kidney mo, pancreas, may konti sa liver. Hindi ko ma-recall masyado pero I think may fractured ribs. Yung sa intestines niya, may damage din, yung tissue. I can confirm na kinuryente siya. That is what the doctors who conducted the autopsy verified. Hindi naman po talaga makatao yun eh. I mean, every day, brutally injured ka, 3 times kang na-hospital.
Dormitorio died in the hospital on September 18. The autopsy says he might have been tortured. Reports that he was actually a hazing victim have led to the resignations of PMA Superintendent Lieutenant General Ronnie Evangelista and Commandant of the Corps of the Cadets, Brigadier General Bartolome Bacaro. The dormitorios appreciated the Military Academy officials stepping down, though a bit late.
Dapat last week niya pa ginawa yun out of delicadeza. Pero still, masaya kami na nag-step down na siya. So, siguro we believe na it will give way to an impartial investigation.
The family vows to not stop until they get justice for their youngest son's death.
We will push na makuha namin through whatever means yung justice. We will exhaust all ways na possible for us. I've heard na iniisip ng iba na parang nasettle. That's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. Walang katapat na pera yung buhay ng kapatid ko.
For News 5, Jem Avancenia, we are One News.
Weather in Cagayan de Oro will be generally fair in time for the Dormitorio's burial. That's also the case for the rest of Mindanao and Visayas as well as southern Luzon. However, Pag-asa says localized thunderstorms are still possible, especially in the afternoon and in the evening. Meanwhile, Batanes, Isabela, and Cagayan, including Babuyan Group of Islands, have higher chances of rain today. That's because of the northeasterly surface wind flow. And just to clarify, this is not yet the amihan or the northeast monsoon, though it is also a sign of the upcoming Yuletide season. Down with a cold, perhaps, President Duterte was a no-show for the first time at the AFP's change of command ceremony on Tuesday. Malacanang says the president was not feeling well prior to the event due to his recent hectic schedule. Now, Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana came and read Duterte's speech on his behalf. There, the president vowed support to the armed forces, which will now be led by Lieutenant General Noel Clement as Chief of Staff. Clement replaces General Benjamin Madrigal, who stepped down after reaching the mandatory retirement age of 56. PAO Chief Persida Acosta was grilled at the Senate on Monday for allocating nearly 20 million pesos from DOJ's 2020 budget to a supposedly unnecessary forensics lab. Also brought up was the connection of the dengue scare to the return of the polio in the country. Ria Fernandez will tell us more.
At the Senate deliberation on the Justice Department's proposed 2020 budget, Senator Franklin Drilon questioned the nearly 20 million pesos allotted for the forensic laboratory of the Public Attorney's Office. PAO had led the forensic investigation, including autopsies on alleged victims of the dengue vaccine. For Drilon, it was just a waste of money.
Why could you not have availed of the forensics laboratory of the NBI and the PNP?
Sir, there is a special order to this representation by the Secretary of Justice. The Secretary of Justice, knowing that we have a forensic consultant, inutusan po kami ni Secretary Aguirre on December 12, 2017.
Drilon said it was the job of the NBI and PNP to investigate, not the PAO. Acosta continued to argue.
In cases of torture, we are mandated, Your Honor, to investigate. It is explicit under Republic Act 9745, word for word, Your Honor.
The repeated interjections of the PAO chief apparently irked Drilon.
Oh, wait.
It is stated, Your Honor, that PAO is... Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Senate Finance Committee Chairman Sonny Angara then interceded.
We'll take a 2-minute break in the committee.
When the deliberation resumed, Drilon apologized to Acosta.
I was just a little agitated that I am talking and I'm the one asking a question and sinasabayan mo ng salita, hindi ko natuloy maintindihan kung ano yung tinatanong ko. Pasensya na po kayo at medyo tidaasan ko kayo ng boses, but there is no intention to insult you or anything.
Acosta accepted the apology, adding that she doesn't mind if their forensic lab is abolished. The PAO chief was also asked about polio, the reemergence of which was also being blamed on the dengue scare.
Hindi ko po alam saan la kinukuha yung sinasabi ni Secretary Duque dahil ang liwanag po ng COA report, sir. Ito po under distribution, napaka-unfair, kada may magkakasakit, ako po sinisisi nila.
The committee will next present the DOJ budget to the plenary. Senators, meanwhile, may insert their amendments in November. Drilon, for his part, wants to transfer the fund for PAO's forensic team to the NBI. For News 5, Ria Fernandez, we are One News.
Business group warned that people will lose their jobs and companies will move out of the country if the second phase of the administration's tax reform law stays on course. Bim Santos will tell us why.
Every reform comes at a cost. For the business sector, the cost of reforming the tax landscape may be a cost too steep. According to the Joint Foreign Chambers, about 700,000 jobs may be in danger if the Corporate Income Tax and Incentives Rationalization Act passed by the House is enacted into law. The proposal lowers corporate income tax from 30 to 20%, reducing it by 2 percentage points a year. This would impact ecozone locators, which currently pay 5% of gross income earned in lieu of other local and national taxes, plus other non-fiscal incentives such as duty-free importation of raw materials. The Finance Department wants to make the incentives time-based and performance-based. This includes crediting companies setting up facilities in the countryside, allotting funds for research and development, and creating high-value jobs. At the hearing of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, business groups pleaded for an extended transition period, or what they call a softer landing, to cushion the effect.
All of our members are affected is the dilemma that we have with SATIRA, because on the one hand, we certainly support the reduction in corporate income tax. On the other hand, we're very concerned about the effects upon our members who have flooded into this country.
Our incentives compensate for what we can't offer, and it is important to protect existing investments until we have a more leveled playing field in operating costs.
But the Philippine Economic Zone Authority says locators should be exempt outright from the reform, which should only be applied to local enterprises.
Export industries should continue with the status quo of its incentives because it is globally competitive. What we are asking here is for the status quo of these incentives, which is tested, tried, and proven.
So I'm a little bit surprised that you're not open to any kind of change. That bothers me a little bit.
The Finance Department maintained that the reform should be seen as a package that has offsetting mechanisms, primary of which is a lowering of the corporate income tax. Cayetano said she is taking into account every sector's concern in coming up with the committee report, but noted a balanced measure of reforms are long overdue in the investment policy landscape. Bim Santos, We Are One News.
And here are the biggest stories from the dailies. The Metropolitan Cebu Water District is now under fire for the water crisis experienced in some areas in the province. Both the Cebu provincial and local governments have expressed their dismay and loss of confidence on the MCWD because they believe that there is no justifiable reason for the poor water supply. Lawmakers cite reports that water is distributed only in some barangays in Mandawi City from 2 in the morning to 5 in the morning. Now, the City Council has now invited the company's board to discuss the issue in a session next week. Jollibee is now officially the proud owner of international coffee chain Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf. Business World reports that the food giant officially acquired CBTL for $350 million 2 months after the deal was first announced. Coffee Bean now serves as Jollibee's largest acquisition to date, with branches in over 27 countries. With this, JFC's global network has reached to more than 4,600 stores with over 3,000 branches in the Philippines alone. And this from Pangmasa. Flip-top rapper Loony has tested positive for marijuana use. Recall that Loony, or Marlon Peroramas, was recently arrested along with 4 others for allegedly selling 100,000 pesos worth of high-grade marijuana or kush. They were supposedly caught red-handed in a buy-bust operation in Makati. Now, 2 of his companions, David Rizon and Ivan Agustin, yielded the same results, while his sister, Idil Liza, and a certain Albert Alvarez tested negative. Loony already admitted to using weed, but insisted that he's not selling illegal drugs. And here are the stories to watch out for later today. The Senate Ways and Means Committee will continue its hearing on the second tranche of the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, or Train 2. Now, this afternoon's focus will be on the proposed increase in excise tax on alcohol products and e-cigarettes. President Duterte will be in Parañaque for a business event, and that's the Golden Topper corporate launch. And the PBA action continues at the Big Dome at 4:30 p.m. It's the TNT Catropa squaring off with the Blackwater Elite. Then later at 7, the Phoenix Fuel Masters will try to bounce back against the San Miguel Beermen. Catch both of those games live on PBA Rush. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again next time for another round of Rush. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.